Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Telling me no. Telling me no. Run away. What's that? Gina. Gina. How do you go? Come on. Let's play. All right. Hello. Sorry about that. I was feeding the dogs. Hello and welcome to Live with Rex, episode 195. We'll fix myself. A dog decided he wanted to jump on my head. He's fun. But yeah, welcome to Live with Rex, episode 195. You did not get one of these earlier today. Normally I try to weightlifting, try to do two a day. Funny how I talk about how well it's going, then I don't do one. Why? Because I chose to go out to CEX before work. So I wanted to make it because I can't go after due to what time they close. So that happened and it was worth it. You know, I picked up a couple of things. I did videos with them on the secondary channel. So we picked up a couple PS2 games I was after, as well as, you know, we added to the Blu-ray collection. So all good. I am going to be back in a moment, like literally 1 second, and well, not literally, but you know what I mean. And we'll get started. Because I also got some cables here, so we can mess around with the setup. We're also going to be changing some storage stuff as well as, you know, doing the shelf. Yes, yes, I'm coming. Right, I apologise for that. Yeah, no, right. So that's kind of I was giving you just the things we rearranged the Blu-rays and stuff like that. We're also working on the shelving. Also, we finally got this cable in that I was needing. So, because it turns out I didn't have one of these, so we can get started, which I'm quite happy about. What time I'll be live to? Well, it's 4 minutes till midnight. I'm planning to be the live will probably be ended by 1 in the morning, but because there's no work tomorrow, I can get things done. So we're going to start off with, I think, the cabling for this. So remove this box as well as a few other things just so I can get a bit more access. You think I should smash the room up? Wrong channel for that, unfortunately. Right. Right. We'll have to also rearrange the VHS stuff as well. Right. This might actually be slightly annoying. Right, so slide that out and over for this to work. What I'll do is I will put a tape in just to make sure it's working, and along with that, what I'll do is I'll turn the volume down so that, you know, I don't have to deal with the risk of copyright strikes. Nah, they go up my nose, man. You know, that's not where those go. So they don't go up there, they go up your nose. I think you've been reading the wrong manuals. But that's one of the kind of gold-plated ones, so we've got to take this little tie here off. But, you know, I plan for this to be one of the longer lives I've done lately, because, yes, I've been doing 2 of these a day, but they've each been half an hour. And because I didn't do one earlier, I'm probably going to try and make this one 45 minutes to an hour long. But there we go, got the cable undone. It's been a long time since I've mucked around one of these cables. See what side will be harder to get it into just based on the angle I'm working with. Either this or the machine. Got a torch to make this kind of semi easier. There we go, that's in one end. It's because obviously there are different edges and stuff like that, so it can be slightly more difficult. Yeah, just making sure I'm happy with the connection points that are being made there. Right, that should be all in and hooked up, ready to go. I just had to use a torch to get in there to do it. So what I'll do is I'll turn on the TV, I will tune it, I'll turn the volume down, tune it to SCART, which should be... I saw in the video that the machine worked, like when I bought it on eBay, the VHS, because, you know, I have a thing for old formats, but apparently I've just accidentally turned on the goddamn DVD player. Oh, Blu-ray player. Crap. Sometimes this auto switches between things. Nope. See, no, I hate when it does this. In fact, I better get the volume down because there is actually a Blu-ray in there. Okay. For whatever reason, right, when I'm on source free, this stops allowing me to swap things. Right, so AV1. So one of the AVs is the PS2, so just got to figure this one out. Right, so we'll take a tape, first one I've got handy, which is The Shining, and we'll see how well this works. Right, so wait, I just pressed the button. Ah, so I actually have to keep it held down for rewinding that way. Okay. It's a brand new cable, so I don't know why this isn't working. If you're just joining, we're doing some adjustments to the entertainment stuff. So it's not picking up the audio, so it's not like that's is getting one thing. Correction, it has audio, but no picture. This thing definitely is not one of those models that had... crap, we're going to have to move everything else. Right. It's not one of those models that had two ports on it, is it? There's my torch. That will make this a lot easier, actually. Yes, of course, I have misplaced the torch I was holding 2 minutes ago. Hello, welcome to the Not Organized channel, where we do things in an unorganized manner. No, it was picking up the audio there, so we're getting somewhere with this, and I'm hoping that's not a fault it's developed in shipping. Right. I guess I get an electric shock from that. I just got a shock there. That's not great. Right, quick. I'm gonna remove the Xbox that's plugged in here. That apparently the HDMI automatically popped out of here. Right, I need to figure out why it's doing what it's doing. I am really hoping that this was not damaged or broken during shipping. I do know how to fix these. So I'm not it's not the worst thing all if I have to, but I don't want to. Right, we're going to take you out. We'll try a different one that I've got here. And on the off chance, yes, if you join me, I do muck around with old school machines. Unless, I mean, there's a lot of buttons on this machine, so unless it is... I've taken it out the machine and put it back in, so we'll quickly do that with the TV. Unless that specific port on the TV just doesn't work. We'll quickly take out the one that has the PS2 hookup, because I can always switch the PS2 to be a component, so... Right, let's have a look. Now, friends, that tape is at the end. Right, so it works. So does that mean I have an AV port on this? It doesn't work? If so, it's not a problem. Like there's ways around things like that. The PS2 takes components. So at least we know how I can get this work. I mean, it's after 10, so we can technically call this the watershed, and I can get away with laughing at some of the stuff you guys say. Do you know that's an idea that was actually floated to me a while ago from a friend who watches these? That I do live streams later on at night that are age restricted, and we just have a laugh, but we go into like dark humor territory. Let me know if that's something we want, but let me try I can actually get this to work. You have to keep your finger held down on this one. Oh, this I'm happy with. Now, let's try that crazy method you see what we'll do with these. Right, where's the stop button? So you'd hit stop, and oh, this one not do it. You hit stop and rewind, and it would rewind the tapes like stupidly fast, like it is doing right now. Perfect. So I'll do, right, is I've got the PS2's one plugged in. I just want to reassure my PS2 works. If you're new here, I primarily do LEGO content, but since we're live streaming and since that needs done, we're doing something that would normally feature on my my secondary channel. So yeah, because that way you guys get along. Because I don't really feel the need to live stream on that channel. So I've switched source to AV2, which I'll hit on for the PS2, see if it works. But we have to have the iconic noise play on stream. And if I switch to AV1 and hit play, I should get the end of Guest House Paradiso. Yeah, perfect. Right. We'll switch it to sort HDMI 1. It's normally what I have it set at. That's my Xbox Series S because I use that if I want to do Netflix. Again, if you're new here, one of my other hobbies is retro media, so that's why, and let's put it out, people. In the big 2026, there is a VHS player, right? Just for context, I'm aware of modern tech. But I like this is insert the Clark's beam. This is good, but I like this. Plus, I got to quote Jeremy Clarkson. What's not to love? Right. I mean, I can't really have the. Would the 360 work sitting on top of the PS2, or is that? I mean, it would go by generation on console, but I don't think I want to do it that way. Does that work? Yeah? I don't get it. Or is this a mockery of how I speak because I'm one of those type of Scottish people? Whatever. That seems to work all right. We'll keep it that way because I need to pull that one back. So obviously I chucked these behind here so I could actually make this work. Because that was being frustrating. Let's take that out just now. Oh yeah, most likely. It's a safe bet. Right. So that's done. We'll probably be doing some stuff with the back shelving now. It took a bit longer than I thought, but the TV, with the way the source wanted to work, apparently, this is just my observation, so it's like a guess based on what, it just did. It wanted a particular thing. Fair enough. Yeah. Right, so that surprisingly worked out better than I thought it would. One sec, I seen my phone seems to want a buzz every 2 minutes. Okay then. Whatever. But no, you're right to predict it all break. via I spent too little money on it or my own stupidity. But yeah, I should figure out a place for storing these because these are beginning to annoy. Probably best putting up with the cases actually. As far as organising the back shelves, it's really just that specific corner behind me because that just turns into an absolute hell at the best of times. But this might actually be the better angle for rearranging that and getting all that sorted. Granted, I've been saying I need to get that sorted for probably the better part of like a week. But this is the first, like, because I'm not working tomorrow, I'm not going to be, I'm able to stream to a bit. I don't have to worry about, you know, getting up for work in the morning, so it's less of a concern. Yeah, if you're new here, retro games, we also do stuff with Lego and stuff like that. It's just a nerdy channel. I collect retro formats as well, so it's not just games, it's like VHSs, because people ask me why. Because some movies, when they got moved onto DVD, had scenes removed for whatever, because they might be deemed as offensive or pointless or whatever. There's some movies that seem to just do bit that this is just me, maybe this is my autism talking. I prefer to watch some movies in their original format that they came out on. To an extent. Like there's some movies where I'll also own the Blu-ray. Like some people might point out it's pointless, and yeah, it probably is. So all the games are fine. I don't feel the need to pull any of that down. It's just this corner bit here with all the DVDs and everything else in it. You know, I've got Xbox One games that I've had to stack at a very strange angle for it to work. Not going to be doing that going forward. So everything that's here is just essentially coming down and being rearranged differently. Over here, I need to make a change because I'm moving some of the VHS stuff about. Take down this box set. See, that's what I mean, right? Take Star Wars, for example. As obviously I'm a Star Wars fan. Star Wars, since the mid-90s, in fact, even in the 80s, they kept changing it. So the VHS copies I have, but I'm planning to get... Let me explain. This is a thing that... So when people bring up VHS to me, this is the example I like to use. So when it comes to Star Wars, so these copies here are the ones that I've got here. These are the 1994... widescreen releases, right? Because there's also the point where TV started to get a little bit bigger. And these are good, but these are not like watching Star Wars the way it would originally have came out. What do I mean by that? So, the closest you can get, because obviously back in the 70s and 80s, movies took longer to come out on home release. So, the closest that you can get to watching it in theatre quality, at least in regards to the first Star Wars movie, when it was just called Star Wars, like this is before they added Episode 4 or A New Hope into it, you would want to get the 1982 rental copies because it wasn't available to buy at first. You had to rent it, and then I think a couple of years later it became not able to purchase. But even in the 80s, when it was coming out on home release, they started to make changes to the movie, started to add stuff like different sounds and mess with the colors and stuff like that. But if you want to watch that movie in original 77 quality, the closest you can get is the 82 rental copy. Because then, of course, started changing with the colors, the sounds in the late 80s. And then, you know, you got the things like the widescreen editions, but even those have changes to them. And then, of course, in 1997, for the 20th anniversary, thought, we'll shove CGI into movies from the 70s and 80s, and it just never looked right. I don't mind those versions, and of course, if you go on Disney Plus or streaming service or buy a current Blu-ray of it, you'll be getting at least for the original trilogy, because this never happened to the prequel era. It probably would have if Lucas had continued to own the movies. You're watching the 2011 cuts is what's currently available. And that's with the most CGI nonsense in them. I'm a bit of a purist with movies. Plus, it's kind of fun to collect the VHS stuff, because VHS, because most of it is still cheap. You know, apart from those ones I just mentioned, being, you know, rental copies of Star Wars, most of them are dirt cheap and very, very affordable. So, like, most of the ones I've showed off in this video, because my collection is a little bit small. I did have a bigger collection at one point, like most people would have. But when it comes to it, I'm just reorganizing a thing over here to make some space. I don't think they are in a way a worthwhile collectible, especially some of the more rare ones. Like some of the ones that I've showed off. Right. And do you know what's weird? Do you know how vinyls eventually made their comeback, maybe like in the last 10 years, you know, vinyl records? Something I've noticed, there is now companies, and apparently this happens enough to the point where there's like solid businesses doing this. You can find some modern movies on VHS. So VHS tapes as a format started to die around the early 2000s, mid 2000s. For example, if you wanted all the Star Wars movies on VHS cassette, you will absolutely struggle to find Revenge of the Sith. It's very expensive because it came out towards the end. I think the other one that I can think of as a rare VHS tape is Disney Pixar's Cars, is one that I've seen be talked about. Because, like, well, 2006, VHS was well out the way. In fact, 2006, Blu-ray was launching that year and stuff like that as well. So, things like that. But it's weird that there's no companies doing that. It's like, I think that's kind of crazy. It's like how, you know, modern bands are now having, or artists are having their stuff put onto, you know, VHS, cassette tapes, vinyls. It's weirdly become a thing, but I've started to collect them again. So I've also got I've had these for a while, to be fair. I bought these because these are the ones I had growing up, as the 94 cuts of these. Right. Let's get the rest of these down. I'm just going to do some rearranging of it as well. We do have some Lego. I could keep this on top of the Blu-rays as like a topper kind of thing. But no, yeah. When it comes to some movies, I prefer to watch them the way they came out. And, you know, there's some charm to watching them in the slightly lesser quality. Because I'll be honest, right? With Blu-ray, obviously you've enhanced and now the whole 4K discs thing that's coming out, you're enhancing the quality of some movies. Like I have Blu-rays here, right? I do collect them. I picked up one earlier today. But when it comes to the Blu-rays, certain movies being enhanced isn't always a good thing. Because the benefit of VHS and in some cases DVD is, you know, you couldn't see certain things. You couldn't see the things that you weren't meant to see. There's some movies that when they've been taken from VHS or DVD and put into Blu-ray, you start to see like the effects don't look as good on some of them. Purely because it's that enhanced. You're seeing like wires or cables or, you know, whatever. There's things that when they made the movie, they didn't think you'd see. You're not supposed to. So that can ruin it slightly. But we're just taking all this part of my display apart. And we're going to rearrange it. One moment. Yeah, I have. I've covered the bud and locked the door. I've done that. Right. Okay. The cat should be in here with you. She should be. Yeah, she's next to you. But yeah, that was my rant on format. Like I said, if I'm watching a movie that primarily came out in the 70s or 80s, we know when VHS was the big thing, I'll own a copy of it on Blu-ray and VHS. There's two ways to watch it because I'm nerdy like that. I've not moved some of these in a while. I'm expecting to find spiders or webs. Weird. weird. I thought that corner would have been inhabited by them. Well, so I want to organise these a bit better by what they actually are. I've just not had the time to do this, so seeing as I've bought some more and I've started to collect a format that I only had a few of. See, if you go on eBay and filter VHS to £1, you can find movies you didn't know you wanted on the format. Plus, I grew up in the 2000s, and even in the early 2010s, we still had a VHS player, and there's some movies I would still watch that way, so there's that. Right, we're good. So, we're going to have this. We'll have DVD, then box sets, then Blu-rays, then the VHS stuff. I think that'll be the way to go. So, for example, the DVD section will have things like Pulp Fiction. It's kind of the way I'm going to do this. The box sets will consist of things like, I've got more, but a good example of what I'm currently watching through The Professionals. Right, what we're starting with here. But if it's a TV series, it will go with box set. Like, for example, You. We'll organise all the DVD stuff in there. I'll put the DVDs that are part of our series there, and then go from there on that one. As far as box sets go, for example, I'll put at the bottom here. This might give you a taste of what I find funny in TV, and I've had to buy a lot of these on box sets physically because, you know, due to people being offended by this and by that, some TV channels and streaming services have stopped showing things completely just to avoid upsetting people, which I honestly don't like. So, I mean, yeah, granted, it means I've got the joy of going out and physically owning these, but that's kind of slightly besides the point for me. But I don't mind going out and owning them, but the fact that the way things are now, you kind of have to is crazy. Right, I was looking for something. So, like, another good, here's a good box set that I do. Like, granted, I think I only ever had 12 episodes on it. Fawlty Towers is one that I find quite funny. The other two there was The Young Ones and Porridge. Right, these toppers that I had on top of the Star Wars VHS go. I'll have to move over there. Where's the one for Tad Bed? There it is. How long went to the stream? 42 minutes. That's crazy. So I'll have a few of the VHS. We'll put Guest House Paradiso there. Again, based off one of my favourite TV series, Bottom. Decided to make a movie. I still think that was absolutely brilliant. Then again, The Professionals one may end up sitting on top of the VHS purely because this is the biggest box set and there will still be space, which makes more sense. What are you saying? Do you know what? If you enjoy listening, that's fair enough. Going on my rant about formats. We also do a lot of Lego related content. That's kind of the main thing on this channel. But yeah, occasionally I delve into other random stuff that whatever it is I'm currently interested in. But yeah, it was a format that I recently got back into collecting for. Speaking of which, where the hell did I put The Shining? So those are the ones I'm planning to hunt down on eBay. Again, well, how cheap it is, I'm probably going to end up going pretty far with it. That one there, discussing The Shining. So a lot of the Stanley Kubrick movies are quite worth having on VHS. Because, well, how controversial some of his films are, like, I've weirdly noticed that certain places where I would normally buy, like, physical media have, like, well, that's not politically correct. Maybe we should stop stocking that. I hate that that's become a thing. It's like HMV have stopped doing certain versions of certain movies or whatever. But the ones that they will sell you are like edited ones or episodes removed to appease people who, you know, are offended by the smallest thing, which I cannot bloody stand. So that's a whole thing. So yeah, I'll put the professionals there, so it's easy access. Cause that's a series I've been watching lately. That make it easier. That can go there. Well, there we go. And there. If you're more interested in hearing me talk about different formats and entertainment and stuff like that, I have a second channel for that. But I just thought, well, live streaming, let's get this one out of the way. That's not a TV series. Now there's that, or that, or that, or any of that. Hopefully this actually works the way I'm wanting it to work. I'm kind of praying that it will. Is that a Blu-ray? I can't tell because it's got one of those sleeves on it, and the sleeve does not say Blu-ray. It is not. No, cool. Now there's that. That is. I suppose that's technically a movie trilogy, so that can go there. Same logic of. Actually, no. These might end up having to go box sets since they're so big. Just depends on the space. See, there we go. Being smart. Thanks, Brain. Alright. Blu-rays, if I find any, I'm going to just temporarily put them up there. Here's a brilliant movie. It's the most recent film I saw in the cinema. In fact, I don't really do a lot with anime. I own some anime on Blu-ray. I've got a co-worker, and basically every month when we get paid, we'll go some of these retro game places and that. And he is an obsessive. He buys a lot of Blu-rays for animes. He's got over like 400 Blu-rays, and he basically, when I'm working, he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to the cinema or something after a shift?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What we seeing?" He's like, "Well, there's this anime movie that they're re-showing," and he goes, "I've never seen it. You want to see it?" I was like, "All right, cool." So the movie ended up being this. I could not find this in HMV in their like anime section. I actually found this in CEX by chance. Like one of the best anime movies I've seen, Akira. Like I thought that was what I thought it was that good. I would pick it up physically to watch at some point. Like if I wanted to watch it again, because honestly, see for the fact that that is a hand-drawn movie, it was absolutely brilliant. And you know, and this is in 1988, and the whole like all of the movies did look good at that point. I'm not saying they didn't. Right, that would be a series thing. So with that, they're good to go. Right up there. That is another box set. I don't own that many Blu-rays, so it shouldn't like affect it too much. I might just have to move that Indiana Jones thing elsewhere. Right, those are Blu-rays, and like The Shining is a good example. I think I own that on Blu-ray and VHS, but there's some film like I'm curious to see the difference. Like, I am that level of nerdy. Some more movies there. Like, one of my favorite actors is Rick Mayall, right? One of the people I find the funniest. So go over a few things even. Drop Dead Fred's quite funny. Very quotable. If those two count as being part of a series. And that's series 3 of bottom. Right. So I have gotten all those. Another box set I've got is the Godfather on box set. So again, one of my other favourite movies for watching. Like I said, other than the Lego like movies, is something else we do on here. Well, we don't do it, but like as in it's something that will get mentioned in live streams and people ask me other interests and stuff like that. Right. So that's sorted for the most part. I think my next move on this one. So there's still plenty of room where I have the DVDs, so I just shuffle those up there and make that work. Probably could, to be fair. seeing as these are not the Blu-ray format or a TV series, I think I'll just throw them up to their space. I can't see what's there, granted, when I'm picking through thing. I don't know why I had to do an action for it there, but I do know what's there, so it makes it easier. Right. I suppose Blu-rays are going to be next, after I quickly sort these out. So all of these are TV series that I have, so... Right, so we'll save those ones to be the end ones. I was not an idiot and threw the bottom ones in there, was I? I did, didn't I? No. They're up there. Right, okay. Cool. So that's bottom, Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3. 2.5 Men, volume... That's the complete third series. I have the first... yeah, I forgot. I bought the first 3 series of 2.5 Men on DVD at one point. But listen, I'm a physical collector of the things I like to watch, and the whole thing with... Yeah, digital's great, but I do like owning the things as well. I'm one of those type of people. Right, so now it's the Blu-rays. So Blu-rays, like I said, I was never big on collecting them beforehand. But like I said, one of my close friends and co-worker, he got me into it. Again, I've not really went nuts sort with the anime, but he did give me some spares. Because see, when you have over 400 of the things, you end up encountering having additionals and extras. And apparently that's quite easy. I have logged most of the things, like the thing I've got the most of, you can see, is Xbox 360 games. With that generation being almost 3 generations ago of gaming console, those games are quite cheap. There's obviously the odd one that costs idiotic money, like the PS2 famously has the game Kuon that costs 650 quid. But with those collections, I generally know what I have. It's not the biggest problem. But he did give me some of the anime ones he had spare that he thought, well, I think you'll enjoy watching these. I've not had a go at watching them yet, but it'll be interesting. And oh, by the way, I was right. I do have the Blu-ray versions, even though this one doesn't seem to say it on the case, but the disc is, of Guest House, Paradiso, and The Shining, so I have them on multiple formats. Those are not, like, I suppose those are my favourite movies, but it just happened to be when I searched on eBay, I was looking to buy a few more VHS. Then I felt that to like a quid, The Shining and Guest House Paradiso came up as those. And of course, I've got the 3 original Star Wars trilogy ones. Granted, it costs 50 quid a cassette, but I can see myself paying the money to have their original rental copies of those movies. Because like I love the original trilogy quite a bit, but I hate the fact that, you know, CGI nonsense got shoved in them. I'm also spotting that up there is a falling risk. That may or may not get to go back where it was. It may have to sit on the PS2 stuff. It's wondering what it is. It's this. This is the... Oh, I'm going to fall there. This is the scene from Indiana Jones where he takes the idol. It's the only... I put the rest of the set in storage. I just wanted to keep this bit out as like a, you know, shelf topper for, you know, some of the shelves that aren't as high as others. Right. So, Blu-rays. I'm not particularly bothered about the order that these go up here in. But some of the Blu-rays, I might as well show off some of the collection. So, because I've recently got into buying these quite a bit. I've got the Terminator, Judgment Day. One of the ones I've got for that. So, I'll just put that up there. The Terminator. And we've got Alien. They're quite a bit of James Cameron movies, actually. I do enjoy this much cleaner, organised look that I'll give in this. I don't know what I'm doing with those Xbox One games, though. A movie that I really wanted to see. I think this was being re-shown recently in one of the in our local cinema to me. Blade Runner. But they were only showing it at night, and I could not get that night off work. 1989 Batman is actually one of the more recent ones I've picked up. John Carpenter's The Thing. These are some of my favourite movies. Again, I would like to get VHS versions of some of these. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because you've got to have that. And of course, Guest House Paradiso and The Shining are two other ones I've got. What else? Django Unchained. This is something a co-worker urged me to buy. I've not seen this movie yet, but it's apparently one of the best movies I'll ever watch. So I'll hold on to that. Picked this up earlier on my way to work because I stopped in CEX very briefly because I like to go in because I passed two of them on my way to work already. So I don't go in frequently. It's probably the first time I went in a few weeks. I picked up one of my other favorite movies, Halloween 1978. Gotta have that one. I seem to say that about everything. I'm actually now just realizing how far I went with the Blu-rays recently. Because it's the first time I've taken them off the shelf in a while. So these are, one of them is Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not sure what the other one says, but these are some of the ones that my coworker gave me. They're like, you'll enjoy these. So at some point when I've got some time off or whatever, I'm going to go right through those. And we got a couple more anime ones. One of them is, Mob Psycho. The other one is Code Geass. You can see these for yourself. I don't know how to say some of these titles. Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Rambo First Blood, and Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop being another anime movie that I was gifted as well, so I need to sit and watch that. Right. A good documentary that I think is worth watching because it delves into The Shining quite a bit. Room 327. I love the fact that the art is the carpet from the movie. Ghost in the Shell is another anime one that I've been gifted as well. Al Pacino Scarface. Got that up there. We got Deadpool. And it says Blu-ray plus digital HD is one of the, is one of the red cases, weirdly enough. As well as we got Liam Neeson's Taken, because that's one of my favourite movies as well. I want to know who thinks that movie works quite well. The last three of these to put on the shelf, then we're going to have to figure out where I'm putting that Xbox One stuff, because I moved my Xbox One in the other room. My logic was, well, if I want to watch Blu-rays in the other room, it's a way to do that, because I have an actual Blu-ray player in here. But say I wanted to, do whatever. Oppenheimer is a movie that I wanted to see in the cinema very badly, but again, I could not get the time off work to go see it. And that, for some reason, wasn't in them very long. We've got Transformers, because I do like the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and we got The Hangover Extended Cut. So, that, it's a lot more than I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There's 26. I thought I had 7. So, well, there you go. I went above my expectations. Right, Xbox One stuff. It's not a console that I went nuts collecting for. I think the most recent game I got for this was Forza 5. Well, it's not a great fan of the map in that game. The 6 game, which again is a console that's all digital, that's actually quite good. Right, where the hell am I putting these? I don't want to put them in with the other games, that way am I going to have to go back to putting them on top of the I'm probably going to have to keep them on top of the Professionals box set. Do I like how that looks? Not necessarily. I'm going to have to live with it 100%. So they're not going to fit above the Blu-rays. I would have to remove one. One of these would have to go in the Blu-ray. It would fit. You know what? I know a way this will work. It'll work like that temporarily until I figure out another alternative. That works. This looks a lot better than it did before, because before this looked a bit nuts. Yeah, that's better. Well, at least I think it's better, which is enough. Because that was a bit nuts before you, but you can tell I do like physical media a lot more than any other. Like for a while, I did go on with the whole, Netflix, Disney Plus thing, which I do have a subscription to because there's some things I'm probably never going to buy physically, as well as there's some things that I think going forward you just won't be able to buy physically. So it's, what's the alternative? I do need to hang this up. I do occasionally buy the old Star Wars action figures. I just keep them sealed. Yeah, this one of Padme is going to need somewhere to go. Until the side where she's going up on the wall, she's probably just going to sit. That doesn't look too bad. All right, I'm happy with that. But yeah, I'll take you guys over and actually give you a bit of a viewing. So I had the Star Wars VHS under here. It's now just a box for the PSP. So that is all sorted out. So I do have some like music cassettes. I have more that I've got sitting in a drawer. But yeah, the DVDs, it goes up and kind of goes back in there with some of the Xbox One games. I don't play on the Xbox One as much as I do any other console, so I may eventually move those somewhere else. These are like TV box sets and stuff like that. It's Blu-rays. The reason the Professionals has stayed out, one that would work, otherwise it's a series that I'm rewatching at the moment. So yeah, it's one of my favorites here. Is give you an indication of my taste in TV. Got other kind of old British TV shows, Fawlty Towers, The Young Ones, series 1 and 2, and Porridge are there. Those are the VHS tapes that I've been recollecting them. So that's where I'm at so far. Of course, Star Wars ones I had for a while, and they actually just sat as a display item on shelving previously, because it's kind of a cool thing to have on display. And these are part of the motivation for why don't I actually buy more of these? Because I do have the machine for all that, because I've got a VCR. Of course, Stanley Kubrick, The Shining, and Guest House Paradiso are the other two things that are there. So yeah, I'm debating what else we're gonna do tonight, because we're only an hour in. I feel like I could maybe go longer. So I'm not up at a ridiculously early time for a shift, so that kind of motivates it. Maybe can keep going with this. I'm thinking. Also, like I said, I'm gonna have to hang up the pad. Maybe once I'm done watching The Professionals, I'll probably rearrange it back in, because it's one of those shows that I randomly watch here and there. But I'm currently going for like a proper rewatch of it. There is probably a more efficient way of doing this if I didn't have like the Lego up there, stuff like that. But it works out quite well. So we've been recently figuring out all of the storage. So I will be back in one moment. I'm just going to quickly do something, and when I come back, we will figure out what's going on from here. Right, here's what I'm going to do, right? We're going to take a little interval. I'm going to go get a sandwich or something, right? Because I'm hungry. I was at work all day previous to doing this, so I'm going to come back and we're just going to see what we can get done. Or rather, I'm going to get the sandwich, that'll be the interval, and I flipped this the wrong way, I'm an idiot. Right, there we go. And we'll probably work on some of the stuff on the shelves, because it's like the main thing we do on this channel, if you're new here. Plus, I've done an hour, like I've been doing 2 of these a day, half an hour each, and this accounts for the one I didn't do before work because I wanted to go CEX to add to my insanity pile that's on that shelf. As long as I don't get to the point like him where it's 400 Blu-rays, but people are kind of being 400 VHS tapes, because I know for a fact now that I've got a place for them on the shelf sorted and stuff like that, I will probably find myself on eBay filtering it to, because I filtered it to £1 for fun and found 2 brilliant, movies that I really do like some of my favorite movies. So I'll be right back. Captain Rex Production 72, powered by Monster. Right. So I think going forward, it's just gonna be like general kind of sorting and organization. Yeah, it's like these streams do better earlier in the day, but when I'm working, I'm getting home at 11 at night. These make a bit more sense. But the stream won't be going for too much longer. So believe it or not, when people see the tower of VHS madness that I've got going on, I do, yeah, I'm sure you were in one of my streams literally the other day. Unless I'm wrong. Yeah, I remember you commenting. But yeah, the most common question I get with all this stuff is like, when do I find time to watch or play it? Or how do I decide what I'm doing? So simple, right? I have every movie, game, everything on the shelf, right? There's well over 200. I use random number generator on my phone, whatever it picks. If it picks a random 360 game, a VHS, a movie, or this, that's what I do. I've got like about 3 times during my day. Couple other things in the quick list throw up on the shelf that I've got here. Scotland. Let's see, organize that. But I think this more than makes up for the fact there wasn't one of these earlier today. The fact that I was able to get additional ones out. But yeah, we're just going to, I think we'll just do a quick cleanup. I can always do a longer one of these tomorrow during the day. That's what I'm saying, streaming for an hour, especially after work, you're not going to get too long. Honestly, do you know what's crazy? And I used to say this a lot when I was streaming on TikTok primarily. I would do live streams on TikTok, right? And people would comment, where are you from? And it was people would comment, what part of Scotland you're from? From Edinburgh, right? In my case. And people would comment all these areas near enough Edinburgh or within, I'm not going to say where I am, but like in Edinburgh, but like people literally were commenting places that I know, wow, that's like a 20-minute trip from me. And it's like a huge world, but it really isn't. It's like the fact that, think of it this way, especially on TikTok, right? Millions of people across the world, and yet you end up talking to people from the same country as you. Do you not think that's a bit nuts? Like, the odds of that, I just think are crazy. It's like you can speak to people in China, Romania, Germany, Africa, anywhere, but you end up speaking to people in the same country. It's crazy. Like, the odds of that happening. Because you think it'd be, the odds of you talking to somebody in the same place would be a bit slimmer. That's what was nuts. But yeah, I'm just doing some final bits to clear up before I decide to end the stream. The reason I'll be ending the stream is I'm just tired and it's like, well, I don't want to do the next thing. But we've already made it like what I did earlier in the stream. I'm quite happy with to actually get that finally looking a bit more decent. Right, so just gonna hang up my jacket and stuff like that. But other than that, that's really all we're doing tonight on stream. We will have some more stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow I'd like to do an hour, maybe longer. And yeah, I did knock something from my shelf. So very smart of me. Captain Rice Production 72, sponsored by the fact that I'm obviously autistic. That's not a joke, I legit am. But yeah, I've enjoyed the stream. We managed to get some stuff done. I am very happy with how that looks. Well, the fact that the shelf now look that way make me want to stop purchasing Blu-rays and stuff. Probably not. I'm going to end up having to buy a case for them. Like one of those waist high kind of bookcases you'd buy from IKEA, something like that. But yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, it's kind of nuts how I am in Scotland. I'm in Edinburgh, and on people on TikTok would notice my accent or whatever, and would comment all these parts of Edinburgh and Scotland. The problem was like, that's 15 minutes away. Someone commented and mentioned a village. I'm not going to say it here. A village they're from. That's 7 minutes that way. It's insanity because you would think, you know, worldwide. I've not seen as much on YouTube, but on TikTok when I was streaming there. For context, I stopped streaming on TikTok because I kept getting banned for silly things like mentioning the fact that a minifig's torso will crack and fatigue up the middle. Or my favourite one was for mentioning... Oh, it was something really stupid. Oh, no, sorry, it was for putting up posters. And it was Japanese versions of the Star Wars posters I used to have on the display. So I've not streamed on there really at all since January. It was late December I stopped streaming, and I brought the streaming to my YouTube channel. I've had this channel for about 11 years. But, yeah. I think it was crazy. People would comment, like, really close to me. And you'd think worldwide app, you know, people in China, Africa, Germany, France, like all these other countries. No. People literally 10 minutes down the road are commenting on your videos. I don't know if it's something they do intentional, if like kind of, you know, location-based sharing your stuff on For You pages, but I just thought it was crazy. Because I wouldn't tag the location in on my videos. But after streaming, got the VCR properly hooked up. I had to buy a new one. My old one did actually die. But sort of most of these machines are 25 plus 30 years old. I'm not complaining. Hooked up. We've got the stuff all plugged in, ready to go for it. We got this looking a lot better. Like, ridiculously a lot better than it was. And you know, you can, if it wasn't obvious, I clearly have a problem with more than not just that type of plastic, but also this one as well. Yeah. But I will see you guys in the next live stream. I suppose the only thing I've got to put somewhere is this actually. I know it's one of the boxes I keep in storage. I've been planning to do a review of this set. 2012 Geonosis Cannon. But yeah, I'll see you guys later on today for the next one. We'll be probably kind of piling through that bottom shelf and this side shelf, getting things sorted, because I'm planning to do a big room tour video type soon for those who don't know, but I'll see you in the next one. It's been like